Omar Farang Zin. Yep, new voice, same channel peeps. It's early July 2025, high in the Romanian mountains, on a road that looks like it was designed by a car commercial director with a death wish. The Transfăgărășan snakes along cliffs and forests, and somewhere near the Vidraru Dam, 48-year-old Italian tourist Omar Farang Zin pulls his motorcycle over. Omar loves this kind of thing. Road trips, photos, little flexes for social media. And on this stretch of road, there's a bonus. Romania's infamous roadside bears. He's already been filming them the day before, taking close-ups and selfies like they're oversized teddy bears instead of apex predators with claws longer than his fingers. There are warning signs everywhere telling tourists not to stop, not to feed them, not to step closer. Locals complain that people ignore those signs constantly. Omar, unfortunately, is one of those people. He pulls up next to a metal warning sign, parks the bike, and walks toward a female bear with cubs like he's approaching a stray dog behind a fence. Other drivers shout at him to get back. Some are filming. He has food in one hand, his phone in the other. The bear is right there, close enough that you can see the muscles in her shoulders move under the fur as she shifts her weight. Omar steps in anyway, trying to get that perfect angle where you see his face, the cubs, and this majestic wild animal behind him. You can almost hear the unspoken caption in his head. Then the wilderness answers. The bear lunges, closes the distance in a blink, and hits him with hundreds of kilos of muscle and teeth. She grabs him and drags his body off the tarmac, down a steep ravine, crashing through brush and rocks while people on the road scream. Rescue teams will later find his body 60 to 80 meters below the road, his helmet and gear no match for a furious mother bear. Authorities end up tracking and killing her, calling her dangerous now that she's used to people in cars. Online, people are furious. Not at the bear, but at Omar. His own photos and videos become evidence, and his last happy shots with the animals turn into the kind of last image posts that make you want to throw your phone in a lake. Mother bear, warning signs, other tourists yelling, but he still stepped in. That's the theme tonight. Katherine Chappell. On a bright afternoon in June 2015 near Johannesburg, the sky over South Africa is postcard blue. The grass is gold, and the lions at the lion park are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, lounging around, looking regal, and slightly bored. In the passenger seat of a white car, 29-year-old American film editor Katherine Chappell thinks she's about to get the shot of her life. She's worked on Game of Thrones. She's in the country raising money for anti-poaching work, and this is her big I made it to Africa moment. At this park, the rules are simple and repeated so often they're basically a drumbeat. Doors locked, windows up, no exceptions around the lions. There are signs. The staff say it. They say it again. Other visitors know this too. But as Katherine's car rolls through the lion enclosure, both front windows stay down. She's got a camera in her hands, and the glass between her and a 396-pound lioness is air. Another vehicle pulls up behind them. People inside notice the open windows and start gesturing, trying to warn them. One even honks. The lioness strolls toward the car like a bored house cat investigating a box that just appeared in the living room. Katherine keeps shooting, leaning slightly out of the open window, laser-focused on the frame in front of her, not the very real set of jaws inches away. The big cat plants her paws on the side of the car. For a second, it looks like one of those cheesy tourist photos. Lion on the door, tourist with a camera, everyone laughing. Then it breaks. The lioness lunges through the window, grabs Katherine by the neck and shoulder, and pulls her inside the car as chaos explodes. Her guide tries to fight the lion off and ends up injured himself, slamming on the horn as blood sprays across the interior. Staff rush in vehicles, guns loaded. Katherine bleeds out before paramedics can stabilize her. The lioness is later shot and killed because a human being wanted a better angle and couldn't be bothered to roll a window up. The detail that hits the hardest is the irony. She flew to South Africa to help save animals from humans and dies because she briefly forgot that lions don't care about your intentions or your Instagram. They care about the fact that your throat is within reach. Eric Slate, South Carolina, May 2025. It's late. The visitors are gone, and a small, family-run petting zoo called 5 Star Farm is quiet under the kind of humid night sky where you can hear every insect. 52-year-old Eric Slate decides he's going to play with a kangaroo. Not a cartoon kangaroo, not a mascot, a real, full-grown male kangaroo named Jack, with legs built like coiled steel springs and a chest like a gym bro. Eric works around the place. His brother owns the farm. This isn't his first time stepping into that enclosure. Local officials and people who know the zoo say he had a habit of roughhousing with Jack, like the kangaroo was a drunk uncle at a barbecue instead of an animal that can disembowel you with one kick.
Ouch!
He'd been warned informally, told not to mess with a kangaroo like that, but nothing official stopped him.
No.
And tonight, there are no witnesses, no customers, just him and this animal he thinks he understands. He goes into the enclosure after hours. The gate clanks shut behind him. Maybe he slaps Jack's chest. Maybe he grabs the tail. Maybe he squares up like it's a joke fight. We don't know the exact moves because nobody is filming, but we know the outcome from the coroner. What starts as playing tips into something else. The kangaroo rears up to full height, tail planted like a tripod. Muscles flex. In that moment, Eric stops being a familiar presence and becomes a threat. And animals don't argue when they feel threatened. They hit. Later, when staff finally realize something's wrong and go looking, they find Eric's body inside the enclosure. Multiple blunt force injuries. The kind you see when something strong has been kicking and pounding you. Not once, but over and over. Jack is still inside. Alive, contained, not trying to escape, not rampaging. He's just existing in the only way a wild animal knows how. Investigators show up, tape off the area, and the story spreads from local news to national outlets. There's talk of inspections and licensing, of whether a kangaroo should be in a roadside petting zoo at all. But the line that sticks is from a local councilman. It was not the animal's fault. Eric kept going into that enclosure to pick fights with nature wearing a petting zoo badge. One night, nature finally answered. Jia Lijun. In 2016, at a wildlife park in coastal China, the sky is hazy. The water in the walrus pool looks dark and deep, and a businessman named Jia Lijun stands right at the edge with his phone out. Behind him in the water is a 1.5-ton walrus, all whiskers and blubber and sleepy eyes. On WeChat, Jia has been joking about how strong and big this animal is. Now he's turned his back on it for the ultimate humble brag selfie. The enclosure at Shichiako Wildlife Park isn't built like a Western aquarium with thick glass walls. Visitors are allowed right up to the pool's edge, separated from the walrus by nothing but water and misplaced confidence. The trainer, a man who has been working with this walrus for years, is nearby. Staff and regulars are used to what they call playful interactions, the animal pulling on clothes, splashing, making people laugh. It's all fun until it isn't. Jia leans in with his phone, back turned, trying to get that perfect shot. The walrus surfaces silently, massive and close. 1 second he's on solid ground, the next, there's a sudden surge of movement behind him. Flippers, weight, a powerful grip from an animal that doesn't know the difference between play and this thing is now in my mouth. It grabs him and yanks him straight into the pool like a rag doll. He hits the water, and the watching crowd thinks it's a stunt at first. The trainer reacts instantly, diving in fully clothed, swimming hard toward them. The walrus wraps them both up, pushing them under, pulling them back, the surface churning with foam and flashes of orange clothing. This animal has the mass of a car and the stubbornness of a toddler. Once it has something, it doesn't let go easily. Minutes pass like that. Too many minutes. By the time other staff can intervene, both Jia and the trainer are gone. Drowned. Afterward, the park quietly compensates the family and insists the walrus wasn't attacking, just being affectionate in the only way it knows. Chinese outlets cover the story, then years later it resurfaces everywhere as the walrus selfie cautionary tale. A tourist who literally wrote that the animal was huge and powerful still turned his back on it for a photo and dragged his rescuer into the same watery grave. Selfie culture, 2. Common sense, 0. River Rosenquist. Late December 2021, Southwest Florida. The Naples Zoo at Caribbean Gardens is closed for the night. The visitor pads are empty, and the only humans left on site are security and cleaners. One of those cleaners is 26-year-old River Rosenquist, a contract worker whose job is to mop floors, not meet tigers. But sometime after dark, River decides to upgrade his job description. He wanders over to the Malayan tiger exhibit, a big outdoor enclosure with a mesh fence and, importantly, a clearly marked barrier several feet in front of that fence. Guests are supposed to stay behind the barrier. Keep a safe distance. Don't stick your limbs through the cage. The usual stuff you'd think no adult needs spelled out. River climbs over that barrier anyway. Investigators later say he may have been trying to pet or even feed the tiger. On the other side of the mesh is Eco, a young, critically endangered Malayan tiger, around 250 to 300 pounds. River's arm goes through the fence, into Eco's space. The tiger does what tigers do. In one smooth move, Eco grabs the arm with his jaws and clamps down. River screams. He tries to pull back, but the tiger is stronger and drags his arm deeper through the mesh, locking him in place like a meat puzzle he intends to solve slowly. Pinned there, bleeding, River does something that perfectly sums up the whole situation. He calls 911 on his own phone. You can hear it in the recordings. "I'm being attacked by a tiger. Please, please." While a 250-plus pound predator holds his arm like a chew toy. Deputies arrive to a scene that looks fake at first. A guy wedged against a cage, a massive tiger attached to him. One officer shouts, tries to startle Eco, then realizes there's no clean way to do this. He fires a single shot. The bullet hits Eco, who releases the arm and retreats. River is airlifted out with a shredded limb that surgeons fight to save. Eco dies, and the zoo loses one of its star animals because a cleaner decided the "do not cross" line was optional. The zoo calls it a bad mistake and emphasizes that the tiger was only being a tiger. Online, people are furious at the sheer stupidity of it, pointing out that an endangered predator died to save the guy who climbed a barrier to touch it. The tiger followed its nature. River ignored his. Prabhu Bhatara. In May 2018, deep in the forests of India's Odisha state, a wedding party is driving home through the dark. The music is over, the guests are tired, and in the driver's seat is a local taxi driver named Prabhu Bhatara, somewhere in his 30s. He pulls the SUV over near a forested stretch so he can pee. It should be the most boring part of the night. Instead, it becomes the headline. Off the side of the road, Prabhu spots something moving near a little water body. A wild bear, injured and exhausted. Instead of thinking problem, he thinks opportunity. This is 2018, the era of selfie or it didn't happen. His passengers in the car see what he's about to do and tell him not to. They warn him it's dangerous, that it's a wild animal, not a circus act. He ignores them, phone in hand, and walks toward the wounded predator like it's a prop. The bear is already stressed and hurt, cornered near the water. Prabhu closes the gap, getting within selfie range. He wants that perfect shot. Him in the foreground, bear in the background, something to show off later. Before he can lock in that angle, the bear decides the photo shoot is over. It lunges, knocking him off balance and dragging him down into the grass. What follows is ugly and fast. The bear tears into him while his passengers watch in horror from the vehicle. Someone films. The video will later leak online because, of course, it will. A stray dog, of all things, charges in and starts biting the bear, desperate to distract it. It's a bizarre little moment of heroism from an animal we usually ignore. But even the dog can't fix this. The bear is too strong, too angry, too close. Prabhu dies there, his big selfie moment ending in a blur of fur and blood. Forest officials arrive later, find the injured bear, and tranquilize it for treatment instead of killing it. They pay Prabhu's family a small compensation for funeral rites. Locals block the road, demanding more money. The story spreads across India and then the world as yet another death by selfie. Commenters drag him mercilessly. Warned by friends, confronted with an injured wild predator, and he still chose the front-facing camera.